So in the game of entrepreneurship, you're gonna run into some challenges, right? It's inevitable. You're not gonna play this game without running into challenges, and challenges are essential because the challenges cause you to grow, right? You're growing to the next level. That's what's happening. Anytime you get a challenge, whether it's in the real world, like there's lack of resources, lack of time, right? All these different things, that's gonna actually translate into your mind, or it's actually the other way around. Whatever mental challenge you have will go out into the real world, and it's your job as an entrepreneur to overcome those. So, for example, a lot of people when they're building their business, they'll come up with these excuses of why they can't do it. So, I can't build that business because, I don't have a lot of money for marketing, and I could never, I can't, how am I gonna start a business if I have no money for marketing? It's just not gonna work, right? I don't have tens of thousands of dollars saved up just for my business. It's not gonna work, right? Yeah. And you can look at that as a legitimate excuse. Someone can be like, wow, like, that's a valid point. I don't have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars that, a traditional business would require. Traditional business, you're talking about a brick and mortar business, requires usually tens of thousands, more likely hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to do and, run properly, right? But when you're talking about an online business, it's, there are startup costs for a lot of things. You need some softwares, you need some tools, you need some money for marketing. Makes it a lot easier. It's not essential, but it makes things a lot easier, right? But most people think they need to have all this money saved up, or like, this huge pile of cash to go out, like 200 grand that you need to start a store or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
In reality, you can start these businesses for way less than the traditional business, in the thousands most of the time, even in the hundreds, you could start your business. But if you really want to go, faster, it's worth it to invest into your business and to start investing in tools and resources and mentors who can shortcut your success.
Yeah.
But people use the excuse like, oh, but I don't have all this money. And if you really think about that, right, if you break that down, one person will say, that's a valid excuse. Guess it's not worth it. Guess you can't do it. Where another person would be like, wow, you know what? I don't have all the funds I need right now. Well, let me actually go, that's just an idea. Let me go actually see how much it costs to start one of these businesses. And then that person takes the action of going through and doing the research, and they realize, wow, it's actually not as much as I thought it was. I had this idea in my mind, but I was completely wrong. But the person who just went with that idea is never even getting started, right?
Exactly.
So if you, go ahead and you realize, wow, it's actually not as much as I thought compared to a traditional business, especially to start a vehicle that can change my life forever. Maybe you don't have the exact financial resources you want right now. Well, an entrepreneur, like a true entrepreneur, someone who's actually going to win in this game because, cutting everything out, cutting all the fluff out there in this, online world, you won't succeed if you don't understand things like this and take advantage of these and understand these mindsets that you need. You just won't. And that's not being mean. That's not being pessimistic. That's understanding that if you don't have the tools, if you don't know how to dribble in basketball, you're not going to stay on the court very long, right? You need to understand how to operate as an entrepreneur.
Where there's a will, there is a way. That's what it comes down to when it comes to something like, okay, look, if you need to invest, if somebody told you, hey, if you invest X dollars into something, then you can learn a skill set that'll, help you, take your life to a different level. It's about you to then find the right will, the right amount of pain maybe that's inside of you that makes you make the decision that says, hey, like, I'm doing this,
Yep.
I'm making this happen.
Regardless of what anyone says.
It doesn't matter about the money, right? You can always figure out a way to get the money or get the thing. There's always a way when you really try to figure it out. And there's other things too, though, even beyond just the money. A lot of it could actually even be people close to you, like your spouse even, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or maybe a brother or sister or a family member.
Bringing you down, right?
Yeah, essentially what they're doing is they're basically putting you in a certain mindset where just because somebody really loves you and cares about you doesn't mean they know what's best for you. And nobody teaches you that when you're young. So this is something really crazy that, a lot of people that, that we've met over the years now, meaning, hundreds and literally actually thousands and thousands of people from all over the world, and learning about people's situations and a lot of the roadblocks that they're coming to. One of the biggest things also is, you're going to come at some point, somebody that you love might disagree with what you are doing, with your mission. And maybe, maybe it's someone so close to you, like your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. And that might really hurt. They might really not see the same vision as you, but that's okay, because you have to understand that the vision that you're seeing for yourself, that is all that matters. People outside of you, even if they love you, understand they don't necessarily know what's best for you.
For your mission, because it's not their mission, it's your mission. Just like you might not totally understand, like your brother or sister who wants to go be a painter, and you might think like, wow, that's such
Exactly.
a, how are you ever going to make money doing that? Like, that's such a hard thing. But it's like, if you think about it, like in their world, there are painters who started from nothing and made it happen, and they thought a certain way. So it's worth it, for you to understand that everyone has their own journey. So, throughout this game of entrepreneurship, a lot of mental things are going to come up, a lot of mental games, because your physical world is a reflection of your mental world. It's just your mind projected. Which is pretty insane thing when you start to see the patterns of that.
Insane.
If you don't, if that's a new idea to you, start paying attention, start understanding. If you look around your room or your car and it's quite messy, chances are you're having a lot of tangled thoughts. So it's just something to be aware of. So,
yeah.
It's just in this game, you have to understand that things are going to come up, and you have to understand that you're like a gladiator. You're going through and you're chopping everything down, because one thing could kill you. If your wife says, I don't believe that this is going to work, why don't you be realistic, get a job? That's, someone you love so much, and who loves you, right?
Exactly.
It's a common thing like, oh, they don't believe in you, fuck them. No, that person loves you so much. They just cannot see from your perspective, just like you can't see from their perspective, right? So it's important to understand that you have to keep going regardless of your circumstances, regardless of how much money you have, regardless of how much time you have, right? Because someone will say, oh, I don't have the time. Well, if you don't do anything about it, if you don't do anything, are you gonna have the time ever in your entire life? Or are you gonna keep going on this pattern forever?
It's crazy.
Right? So it's like, oh, well, you want more time? Why don't you find the time instead of watching Netflix or HBO or whatever?
Because you're not in enough pain is really what it is when it comes down to it.
You have to understand that
enough.
It's up to you to switch these things on, right? Like Steven's saying, it doesn't hurt enough. If you don't have to go through all the pain, like if you don't have the money right now, for example, or think you don't have the monny, right? When I first started, I had no money in the bank, $0, and I saw this mentorship program that I knew I needed. Actually, I had negative, bank account, because a charge went through and it overdrafted my account, which is like a $35 fee. And I was like, wow, this is really terrible. Negative bank account, maxed out credit cards. Came across this mentorship program that I knew I needed. I saw the video. I knew the guy was he had the result I wanted. He was traveling the world. He was living an amazing life. He talked about the skill sets. I was like, this guy gets it. And I wanted to learn from him, but the program cost, thousands of dollars. I was like, I don't have that. So I got off. I got off from the call that I was on where they explained all the information to me, and immediately I was like, how am I going to make this money? Because I need this program. There's no other way, and I don't have the money, so the only option for me is to go make the money. So I started selling stuff at home. I begged my younger brother, imagine having to put your ego aside like that, my younger brother to get a short-term loan, right? I did whatever I could, and within a couple weeks, I got the money I needed for the mentorship program. I invested, and then 2 weeks from there, my entire life changed when I made my first $12,000, $14,000, whatever it was, online.
Unreal.
And I only got there because I had to play this game of like, okay, lack of resources, how do I create resources because I know I need this? So
exactly.
You're doing mental gymnastics, which is fun when you understand how it works and when you get it, right? So don't be a victim of your circumstance. Be a powerful creator and create your reality. Don't let any excuse, I don't have the time. Everyone can find the time. If you really looked at your day and broke it into 30-minute blocks, are there a couple areas where you could squeeze out an hour, 2 hours extra every day if you really, really wanted it?
It just depends. Like, when you think of it like, okay, look, of course you have time to go to the gym, right? Everybody does. You can just wake up 45 minutes earlier than you do and just go to the gym. But if it's not enough pain for you, then you're not going to go. If it's not like, I need to be free, I want to live a life where I'm sick of the job I'm in right now, I'm sick of the way people treat me, I'm sick of the way people look at me, I'm sick of the way my kids look at me because they look at me and I'm a failure as a dad. Like, wow. You're thinking of stuff like this and it's like, that's painful. That makes you feel like, you know what? I'm going to do anything. I can do I don't care what it is, I'm going to do it. How much does it cost? Doesn't matter. If this is my vehicle, I'm going to take it. Like, it's just about really understanding where there's a will, there is a way. Exactly. And don't make these excuses to yourself because they will come up. I don't have the time. Oh, it's too expensive for the person who has everything I want to learn from them. It's too expensive. And how expensive is it to skip on that? How expensive is it to keep going down the road you're going down right now for another year?
Exactly.
That's the question.
It's like a video game, right? When you're going down the road and there are bad guys, you know that's a good thing, right? Because you see the bad guys, you're like, okay, I'm going in the right direction. I know there's going to be some resistance. I know there's going to be some sort of challenge, whatever, but I know I'm going the right way. So when you start really pursuing, like you wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't really pursuing your dream, right? When you start doing that, bad guys are going to start appearing. Negative thoughts, negative relationships, toxic things are going to pop up. So anytime something comes up, a limiting belief that would hold you back, think, do I really need to accept that? Or is that a bad guy? And just understand it's part of the game, but understand what it is and move past it. And then you'll get to your goal faster than you can ever possibly imagine. You're like the character that just keeps leveling up. It's like you're the hero in your own movie. Every hero goes through some sort of struggle or whatever, but they overcome it, and that's what the whole movie's about, right?